very difficult. We know that the town is not smiling. You and I know. We all know what is going on in town. You know, that now think about somebody comes to you and say, come and vote for me, or come on this political rally and I will offer you 5,000 or 10,000. You will not think about tomorrow. You will want to think quickly about, oh, if I get this 5,000, I can quickly solve maybe 1 meal or 2 meal for my family members that does not even know where the next meal will come from. So it's very tactical and it's very deliberate on the side of our politicians. But the way we can ensure that this does not become the order of the day is just, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. We must have a very transparent and very fair electoral system that can really ensure that our vote will count the way we have cast it at the ballot. But in a case where we cannot guarantee that, it's going to be a business as usual sort of a thing. And you asked the question about
NLC and the likes.
Well, for the NLC, sincerely, the current NLC group led by Comrade Joe Ajaero, for many Nigerians are not really working in tandem with the citizens of the country. You know what was obtainable when we had the NLC led by Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, even the Ayuba Waba that just left before we had Joe Ajaero. It wasn't like this. And people believe that NLC should also be more proactive. This NLC led by Ajaero are most times they are not proactive, but they react when it seems like the damage has been done. What we expect the NLC to do, well, okay, now they say minimum wage. The minimum wage that they fought for has already been eroded. What can the 7,000 naira do for a month?
With the rising cost of living and everything.
Our economic situation. We need more than the minimum wage. We need a situation where our value of the naira that has also been depreciated over the years, that has also been eroded, will return. We need to restore the value of the naira.
Okay.
And we need every other means to ensure that food are affordable to, these are basic needs of life, food, shelter, can be affordable to every other, at least Nigeria at the
grassroots level and everywhere.
You know, but that has not been the case. So what can we really say that the NLC has been fighting for over the years? Okay,
so of course a huge question that I'm sure a lot of Nigerians listening right now would want to maybe also wade into. Now the phone lines are open. You could be a part of this conversation on Spotlight. The numbers to call 0805 0920 927. You could also call 0705 8904 927. You could alternatively also call 0802 502 7711. Of course, I'm sparring this session with Taiwo Olokpade right here in the studio, and Lawman and Zenwa joining us via phone call. Looking at, and so far so good, we've been discussing the topic that is looking at transparency and accountability, strengthening governance, stakeholder engagement for transparency and accountability right here in the Nigerian polity. And we looked at, the directive recently given by the federal government to see to that ministers are holding at least quarterly meetings with the Nigerian populace, having meetings, giving us reports saying this is the allocation we got, this is what is happening, and this is how it has been spent, and Nigerians can check for accountability. So if you said your ministry, as the Ministry of Health, has received this amount and this is what you did with it,
tell us what you have done with that.
And Lawman and Taiwo in the studio have actually been able to give us some insight into the fact that how do we even get to getting the chunk of over 200 million Nigerians to come to the table to have this conversation, and how do we even select the people who we know represent the actual intent of Nigerians. Lawman cited 2014, cited Confab from 2014, where we saw that a lot of great ideas were postulated, and then at the end of the day,
a lot of money on that project,
and nothing.
It has not seen the light of the day.
Nothing has
been gathering dust over the years.
Well, about billions were spent.
So much of recommendation that, if well implemented, will change the narrative in our system. Okay, so much of good recommendations.
Okay, so Lawman, I want to ask you this question. Do you think maybe representatives at this level or at such meetings have been having the wrong conversations? Because, like, for instance, most recently the minimum wage conversation was negotiated and we said this is a good price, and after that we saw prices of things skyrocket right afterwards, and NLC comes out to say they dragged the carpet from under our feet. Do you think maybe the people who are representing Nigerians are not touched enough by the problems and they have the wrong conversations when these confabs are being held?
if we have the wrong representation, we can never get the right the right input from them. That's the way we talk about this issue of representation. Like we said, from where do you get them? So there's no way they can place on the table the needs of the people. I go back to the minimum wage spoken to by Mr. Taiwo in the studio there. Yes. Now, when the minimum wage was coming up, I think from our own side here, even in this studio, we said it, that if there is a proactive labor, if there is a competent labor management, that they will be able to negotiate properly with the Nigerian government. So, to that extent, they were representing the workers. Now, I wouldn't know how they emerged. I don't know the process of the emergence of labor leaders, whether it was also through a democratic means. But I've always insisted that the labor leaders represent more of popular people than competent people. And if we have popular people, because that's just like the politicians, you see the politicians being more popular but less competent. Now, when you have some of these popular people emerge, they would have rather used competent people from maybe the experts who are not necessarily elected because of popularity. Now, they could consult the news consultants. But you see the labor, they will always move in. I saw them in their uniform. They will just move in and move out and move in and move out. And they will negotiate something that would, at the end of the day, swallow the sweat of the workers. That's the type of thing. Because the wrong representation is going on. You can never make any right input or get any right output from it. That is why the issue we're talking about becomes necessary. You cannot replace the citizens with anything. The only way you can get the citizens and make them the real stakeholders is through participatory democracy. Let them participate into the democratic process through periodic elections. Then you get their mind from there. They know who represents them. They could reach them. Okay, like Mr. Taiwo again said, when somebody gets into power, he goes on, after 4 years he comes back. What is he going to do? He's going to look for money because everything is for sale. He knows that he's not going through the ballot box. They have weaponized poverty, they weaponize hunger, they weaponize everything that could work against the people. So that after 4 years, you're not looking for their vote. It's only just like some kind of abracadabra. So you just go out to look for money, because with money you can buy anything and buy anybody.
Okay. So in essence, I think we've been able to establish in one hand that maybe not a lot will come from this directive, and that we might not see so much as we would expect from this. But then let's feign some positivity here. And I'm talking I'm speaking to Mr. Taiwo here in the studio, and of course Lawman also joined on the phone. Let's feign some positivity here. When the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable.
Of course.
Now we have this particular situation where what we have is what we've been given. We've been told that, hey, this is where we will go, this is what we have, and this is how it should be done. Maybe previously in other governments, I know that at some point we had an Oputa panel that was asking for accountability during the 1999 era from Obasanjo. We had the Oputa panel that also was seeking for justice and some accountability from successive governments, and it was also looking into the military at the time. And famously described by Charlie Boy, Charles Oputa, he said, "My father's Oputa panel is a toothless bulldog." He made that comment outrightly, talking about the fact that not so much came from that. But then, looking at what we have right now and making the best of it, seeing to it that this would actually get us some results, I want to ask, how do these guidelines ensure that these meetings do go beyond mere formalities and truly benefit the public? Because yes, in the end, we know that the public needs to get a benefit from this government, from the people that have been put over us. We need to get that level of accountability. How do we ensure now that we are rightly represented? How do we, just go beyond reading headlines and commenting and not getting any kind of results with what is available? These people are going to come out. They are mandated to come out now to have these conversations every quarter, at least once every quarter. How do we ensure that we get results from all of this?
Okay, thank you very much. let me cite one or two examples of current ministers.
Okay.
I will start with minister for. Okay, I can even say about three thereabouts.
Okay.
Minister for the FCT.
Okay. Yes,
Whether you like him or you hate him, we have seen some level of work being done in the FCT. Except for the political wahala that is,
from the River State angle, yeah.
But
because that casts quite a shadow on his person
but
at the moment.
If you want to focus on the FCT minister, and I want to repeat again, whether you like him or you hate him, you want to give it to him, and that is to show that the civil servants are also working in tandem with the vision and the plan of the minister. Minister alone cannot, he can't do it in isolation. And that's why they need to work as a team. And that's why that meeting is very, very crucial, is very, very important. Because that's where they take a decision on how they want to implement the plans. The minister alone, no matter how good you are, you cannot do it alone. Another minister that I also want to quickly look at, of course, sometimes because of the Lagos trading this and the like, trading this and the like, you can't say that Minister Umai is not working. And I live in Lagos. The example of the repair of the third mainland bridge alone speak volume of Engineer Dave Umai, how competent he is to work as the minister for works in our country. And we can also see that evidence when he was the governor in his state. I think Ebonyi or thereabouts. He was governor of Ebonyi State for was it Ebonyi or Enugu State? Well, he was the governor, for 8 years, and we saw the evidence. Ebonyi State.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We saw the evidence of his performance in Ebonyi State, except for this, just like I said, the controversy that is trailing.
No.
I'm even talking about the Lagos Calabar.
Okay, so the Coastal Highway, yeah.
The third mainland bridge, we had minister before him, and we saw repair on third mainland bridge for quite about 3 or 4 times. But the one that he did, that he supervised, we can see the difference. And Dave Umai, for every other project, he will be there physically to inspect. And because that he is an engineer, he knows the onions of what goes into the job. So are you saying that Dave Umai, the performance or the scorecard or the achievement is for him alone? No, it's because the civil service. Another one that I can also want to quickly cite is the Olubimi Ojo of the Ministry of Interior. We can see some change in the narrative of what we used to have in that ministry. So the essence of having this quarterly meeting is a very novelty idea, is a very lovely idea. And I want to believe that if they can keep the pace of this meeting, definitely we will see more positive and people's oriented projects coming from this current administration led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay, so I would like. Okay, would you generally agree with some of the things that Taiwo Olopade has said about these individuals, for instance, and how their work maybe put before people would make a lot of sense?
Honestly, I would agree with all, not just some. What he said, because in as much as we have faulted the foundation and all the rest of them, then like you stated in the introduction, with what we want, we cannot see. So what we see, what do we make out of it?
Yeah.
So that's where we are now. So what do we make out of what is available? I think now that is where these meetings would come to play. Because even if it were to be a pure military dictatorship, and then we have a group of 5 people who conquer the country and sit on the country, and eventually say, okay, come, let us talk. We still have to talk. So now that is where we are going in. The government has said, okay, talk with the people. I think if they were also as sincere, they will find out from the stakeholders within each niche, and then get the information. You may not have, what we are trying to say also, there is no way you will bring 200 million Nigerians under one roof. We will have some stakeholders who are involved and interested in whatever thing they are doing. And he made mention of FCT minister. Of course, I'm in FCT. You cannot take it away. You can't deny him the fact that he's performing very creditably well here in FCT.
Okay.
That's something you cannot take away. You may not love, like me, I don't like what is happening in Rivers State, but you cannot take away what he's doing in FCT here. So then, yes,
okay, thank you very much, Loman. Okay, at this point, of course, the phone lines are going open. You could still be part of the conversation. You can send a text message right now on WhatsApp to 0705-6900-927. I'll go on a quick break. When we return, we continue with the conversation right here on Spotlight. Stay tuned. Super FM 92.7. We'll be right back.
Central Bank.
Stories coming in and conversations filtering in the media space right now show that Donyo Kukwe has passed on, and this conversation is one that we're of course still looking to see all angles to it. But then former presidential aide Dr. Donyo Kukwe is reportedly dead. The prominent Nigerian politician passed away at the age of 72. It was gathered that Dr. Donyo Kukwe died on Friday morning after battling a protracted illness suspected to be cancer. Well, when more details come, we would be sharing with you in the course of the news and other conversations right here on Super FM 92.7. And then we put out our condolences at this time to his family for the loss. Of course, this still is the Spotlight conversation. We have Loman Nzenwa joining us via phone, and Taiwo Lopade, of course, here in the studio with us, having conversations about transparency, about the conversation put out by the federal government, looking at some things that are happening right here in Nigeria. It says we're talking strengthening governance, stakeholder engagement, and transparency and accountability right here in Nigeria. And of course, this is something that comes on the aegis of a report put out by the federal government saying that ministers and ministries and parastatals and their representatives must have at least quarterly meetings with the people of Nigeria. But then the big question is, how do we select these people? We are over 200 million Nigerians. We have civil rights groups. We have, and they talked about the fact that the invitations will be extended to media houses, civil rights groups, and just ordinary Nigerians. But then how do we know the people who have the best interests of Nigerians at heart? The selection process is a major part of the conversation. Well, Loman is still on the phone, and like I said, Taiwo Olopade, we have messages here. Says, good morning, crew. Olamilekon from Lagos. There's a saying that says prior proper preparation, payment, poor performance, government who is not prepared for governance but borrow to food state capture wasteful and unnecessary travelings, which has not yielded any result. Opportunity that you put in the vault of your central bank, you are taxing the daylight out of Nigerians, all because of 2027 vote buying. vote buying gain while you tell Nigerians to tighten their belts, their livelihoods, luxury lifestyle, corrupt. Well, there's a lot this person put in place, but then this person doesn't seem to allude to some of the conversations we're having in the studio. But thank you, Olaleko. The message was not very concise, but I just had to run through it the way I did. And of course, that's something that is showing the perspective of some Nigerians to the conversations that we're having this morning. But then back to you, Loman, and back to you, Taiwo Olokpade, right here in the studio. I want to ask some follow-up questions that also, came up in my mind as we continue to talk about this. And this is one that says that beyond these meetings, what are that's possible? But how many will be fielded? How many would be answered? But how else can we ensure that there is transparency? I want to go by something that I think one of our politicians have done in the past. They talked about, it's possible that we get publications every other month. Is this something that we can say we can get from the government?
It is ministerial briefing that is going on at the federal level.
Okay.
And I was also privy to that as a correspondent covering the Lagos State governor's office for over 10 years, for over a decade.
Okay.
They have this regular yearly ministerial briefing, and the climax usually come on the May 28, 29, when the governor himself will now summarize what the commissioners, the MDs, the GMs of parastatals and the likes have done with the media. Yeah. So at the moment, we are focusing more on the federal government at the moment. So as we speak now, there is a ministerial briefing that is being supervised by the Minister for Information, Mohammed Idris.
Okay.
And by my last count, we have had about 4 ministers that has rendered accounts of stewardship of what they have done and what they still plan to do. Because over the years, what we hear from our government is by the time they're also elected into office, they keep saying, I will do. And people are like, when you are campaigning, you are telling us you will do. Now you are in government. You are still telling us 1 year, 2 years, I will do. That's we don't want to hear I will do again. Tell us what you have done. And that's the reason why this account of stewardship, account of rendering the performance, as the case may be, is very, very, I said our constitutional democracy also comes with a responsibility of giving regular accountability and transparency. Because you are there in trust of the public. All of us can be ministers. All of us can be commissioners. And that's why we either appoint or select people to represent all of us.
Based on merit.
And in some of these gatherings we're also talking about, we cannot have over 200 million Nigerians gathering. We don't have that space in a point or in a place.
But there's the tool that we can now use. Of course, can some of these plenaries, can they? And I'm asking this, of course, with the intent that the media space has become so open right now. Can these things be hosted openly that we can maybe televise them, watch?
Of course, the National Assembly used to have
people can actually, maybe
their plenary open to people, to public,
and the public can actually have conversations while those are going on, and these are adequately publicized, and people know that this is coming, and they can wait to
I don't think the House rules, either at the National Assembly or the State Assembly, allows for people to wait, but they can't come in and view and see how plenary are conducted.
In light of this ministerial conversation that we're having,
of course, they allow people to ask questions aside the media. The civil society group all selected to be part of that ministerial briefing, be it religious, we have CAN, we have even professional bodies like ICANN, all of them will be present. Particularly if it has to do with, if you are talking about Ministry of Finance now, we know that those who are in the accounting profession, in the financial sector, will be invited. But NLC and TUC are also because they represent largely the union, the labor unions in the country. So and even the media. So we expect that at such an event, they should allow for nose-back questions from the public. Even the ordinary citizens that are there, that are present, they should also be there. And that is why there's something we call public hearing. For any law, for any bill, before it becomes law, they must conduct a public hearing that will allow room for Nigerians to also have their contributions. But unfortunately, we don't see these over the years or over the time. They will just do kurukere, and eventually, before you know it, the bill is passed, and people is passing into law. And Nigerians will be wondering, when was the public hearing conducted for us to also have our says
in this particular
issue and the likes?
Well, of course, really very interesting conversations happening here in the studio. If you want to be a part of the conversation, like I said earlier, you could call the numbers 0805 092 0927. You could also alternatively call 0705 8904 927. Alternatively, you could call 0802 502 7711, or you could send a WhatsApp message to 0705 6900 927. Now, Loman and Zenwa is still here with us, joining us in this particular conversation. Loman, do you want to react to the question of beyond, these meetings, what other steps the government can take to promote transparency and citizen engagement in governance?
Yeah, I would like to maybe reinforce what Mr. Taiwo has just stated, particularly the last segment of it, where we have something similar like public hearing.
Okay.
And you will get the notice that we public hearing sometimes 48 hours to the time scheduled for public hearing. And you're expecting somebody from Sokoto to prepare and start rushing down to Abuja for public hearing. Some of the time you discover that the information is so managed, possibly intentionally made to make sure that the public has no access to the hearing. Yeah. So because you cannot tell anybody that you are having a public hearing and then you say, today is a Friday. You will not even say the person that is Monday. Maybe by Sunday evening, you will now bring out a notice that there's public hearing on Tuesday morning. And you expect somebody from Akwa Ibom to come down from Akwa Ibom and then come and attend for public hearing. It doesn't actually make sense.
Loman, asking this question, can that be now something that we can maybe stream and have people weigh in, sort of like a virtual town hall meeting where people can have these conversations? Because yes, if I'm in Akwa Ibom and I really care about Nigeria and I know that my voice will count and I have to sit while streaming on YouTube or even any of the platforms through, or maybe a platform is actually created for such that Nigerians can register to. You can register, view and have meetings, because we have virtual meetings as organizations all the times where we see conglomerates and people from different parts of the world having these meetings in a virtual space, and they're communicating, and then they say, we would like to take questions now, and people raise their hands in those meetings and drop their comments or have their time to say one or two things that could then, and those meetings are even recorded for record purposes. Don't you think this is something we might want to use the tool of technology to do? And it will cost less, because what it will be is that we're having to pay less for hotel accommodation for the people who we are inviting. We're having to pay less for their remuneration and probably even feeding at these times.
No, but that's exactly one of the values of this program we're having now. That if they could look at it to get to that point where you move in and then involve technology, I know that it can still be abused, but it can never be as bad as when you want people to travel all the way from Sokoto, Akwa Ibom, Lagos, down to Abuja to come and contribute, when they could stay in the comfort of their offices and homes and then make their contributions. It can still be abused. The abuse might be that they will censor the contributions, the people that would want to make contributions, they will censor it and then make it difficult for people to have it. But then it can never be as bad as wanting people to come physically. We're in a digital world, and then we must take advantage of digitalization. That is what the conferences and whatever thing they are going to do, they should look at it from that perspective, so that you don't just call people and then bring 8 people, make a closed door meeting, and then you say you have represented Nigerians.
Well, thank you very much, Loma. Now, finally, I want us to wrap this up on this note and maybe just balance things out for a little bit while we just wrap up so that the next segment can come in. I want to ask finally that, looking ahead, what does success look like for these stakeholders and citizens engagement meetings? What does success, if it is given the right space to breathe and it is pushed the way it should, what do you think success will look like? I want to start with Loman and then I'll get back to you.
The success factor would depend on the sincerity of the organizers, of the government. The people, Nigerian people, are ready to contribute. They are ready to participate. Then the MDAs, not only the ministries now, the MDAs, some of the MDAs are hiding under the trees. You don't have a signboard. They need to come out. They should be part and parcel of the accountability and the transparency system. You can't say you are running a transparent government, then there is an NDA that does not have signboard, don't have a name, just like under one tree, they are just operating there. But votes are going into there and coming out. So they should bring them out, smoke them out from wherever they are. And when they let them face the public, it will be quite a successful attempt. We can make something good out of what we now see that is our weaknesses.
Okay, thank you very much, Loman Nzenwa, for that angle to it. And then Taiwo Olokpade, of course, this is Taiwo Olokpade, I beg your pardon. This is something that we always talk about, accountabilities. But then, how would success look with this directive and how it's done?
Well, for me, I quite agree and concur with Loman from Abuja, the last statement. But for me, the way you also measure success is it's not a rocket science. When government says, "Oh, the food prices are coming down," or when government says economy is improving, they don't need to tell us. We go to the market, we know whether food prices are coming down or not. If the economy is improving, it will reflect in my pocket. It will reflect on our day-to-day affairs. So you don't need a soothsayer. And you don't need somebody to tell me. We don't need somebody to tell us.
Yeah.
The measuring performance or scorecard of government will surely reflect on our day-to-day life.
It will be
and
glaring.
we should be the one to say that, we thank God that, like the way the price of fuel is coming down now. Of course, we can see it, we can feel it.
Yeah.
Because of the competition between Dangote and
the
NNPCL. We can feel it, we can see it. So if there are things that government has done that really have a positive impact on our lives,
people,
they don't need to say anything again. They don't need to do any campaign. Will we be the one to say that, government is doing well and we are feeling their impact? But if the other way, if it is the other way around, we will also say, no matter the campaign, no matter the grammar, the blow, no matter the, I'm trying to look for this word now, this
campaign.
The campaign and propaganda. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
No matter the propaganda, Nigerians will stand their ground and say, no, we are not feeling the impact of the economy that the CBN governor Cardoso is saying that. Let us be the one to say it. You are not the one to tell us the economy is going down or is improving or the market price of food items are coming down. We go to the market. Allow us to use our mouths to say it. So that is one way we can really measure whether government, activities, their policies and programs are having a positive impact and direct benefit on the citizens of the country.
Well, thank you very much, Loman Nzenwa, for coming out today and making this conversation happen the way you did. I really do appreciate you for always joining us on Super FM 92.7. Always is a pleasure.
It's my great pleasure.
And of course, to Taiwo Olokpade, who joins us here, doing the good work and bringing so much information and value to the show. We say thank you so much for making our time to be here as you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, that's the size of the conversation today on the Spotlight. Of course, Spotlight returns next week, Monday, and it promises to be as engaging and insightful as it has been today. Well, my name is Ayodele Ogunchusi. You can call me OSYB, and I've been holding it down for Michael Nyang here on this segment. But then, we will be continuing in the next segment with Sports 927 as Osinachi, the register, and the man, the McCall, the efficient radio man, step into the studio. Stay tuned and have a great morning. Good morning.